Alright, pproteus back for round number 2 with mere alchemy. See what my opponent is on in a second. They've been on burn in the past. This is really not a good hand against burn, but it does have lands and spells, so I think I'm going to keep it. I find that my version of Dimir Alchemy is much better against burn than typical versions of Dimir Alchemy, and the main reason for that is my extra counter spells. Oh, I'm getting cursed. Okay, can I have a counter spell? Or an augur? Okay, that's a counter spell. Keldon Marauders, okay. Yeah. So I take 2 from this guy, and it takes my edict. But I'm mostly okay. I have to raise this curse. That's the problem here. I don't have that much time. So if we look at the sideboard, coming in after our Hydroblast, I guess I only have 3 here this time, and a Devour Flesh, and a Duress, and I guess Spellstutter Spite's probably coming in too. So a whole bunch of things that just trade 1 for 1, and then eventually I'll Muldrifter and win the game. Okay. I guess that's happening. Can I have a counterspell? That's what I want to draw. I want to draw a counterspell. Just actual counterspell. That would be great. Do I cast Muldrifter here? Because next turn I want to probe, make my opponent discard the last 2. That makes me think I just bluff counterspell. I probably don't want to evoke Muldrifter because I need to, like every turn I don't kill him is another damage that I take from Curse the Pierce Dart. Yeah, I'm probably going to lose this game. Just 2 bolts away. Marauders? That's just not at all what I wanted. Now I'm going to have to play Muldrifter and probably Chomp. And then my opponent Fire Blasts me and I'm dead. Yeah, there's nothing else I can do at this point. My opponent has played 0 instants, so my Dispel has not managed to do anything. Okay. So Recoil is a good one, because it can potentially save me from this guy. But, yeah, my life total is just too low. Just too low. Yep, you got me, opponent. You got me. Same thing would have happened, but in the opposite order. If I played Probe, my opponent would have just Fire Blasted me and then attacked me to death. So, this is coming in. This is coming in. These 4 are coming in. A Soul Manipulation, no. So I want Wail then, no. I like Doomblade. basically I like things that trade 1-for-1 with their creatures, and I don't like things that don't trade 1-for-1 with their creatures. This figure's okay because it trades for a Firebrand, although maybe my opponent doesn't even have Firebrand. Oh, okay. They might not have Thermal Alchemist. So we have to make some cuts. Cutting this guy. Grimrock Angler is good because I need to have a fast clock. I do not know what to cut. Need all of these things. Probably cut like a Moldrifter. Do I cut Recoil? It's not very good against Keldon Marauders. But I guess it is good against Curse, and they're probably going to have Curse. Probably going to keep those curses in. I'll just cut, probably cut Probe. Probe doesn't really do very much. Maybe. Yeah, I don't actually know. I haven't been playing with this card very much. When I first saw, I guess QB Turtle's build playing Probe, I thought, come on, man, like you can't just play this card in your main deck. It's not good. But given the nature of the metagame, where the vast majority of it is just grindy decks, Probe's actually pretty good against grindy decks. Not so great against Burn, but making them discard cards is good against Burn. So I think I'm going to keep it. I think I'm going to keep it around. So maybe if I had, no, I was just, everything was too slow. I would have needed to mulligan that hand. Okay, so this hand actually does something. Of course, it gets blown out by Molten Rain, but I'll see if I can arrange for that not to be a big deal. And my opponent is going to have the Molten Rain and have 3 lands in a timely manner if they want to blow me out with that. So I'm going to start with probably with Ponder, because I would like to hit an untapped land if I can. Alright, so 2 untapped lands and a Hydroblast. That's pretty good. So my opponent's going to take the turn, probably Lava Spike my face. I'm going to untap, play my island. I'm going to prohibit their whatever they play. And then I'm going to untap, play Ash Barrens, Hydroblast something, and miscalc the other thing. I guess I could miscalc this and then have Prohibit ready for next turn. Yeah, actually that sounds good. There's nothing my opponent can play that's scary, given that I have a Hydroblast in my hand. So play this. I'm going to Hydroblast. Pass. See what happens here. Cult of Marauders. I say no, I'm not interested. I don't want to take damage. They didn't have a 3rd land. Important to know, because they're not necessarily disguising the fact that they don't have anything. They could just not have, or Molten Rain, that they could just have Molten Rain but not have the land. Alright, I like both of these cards. So I'm going to keep them both. I'm going to Aqueduct the way the Ash Barrens. I'm not going to cycle the Ash Barrens because I would really like to draw my counterspell. And then my opponent goes land Molten Rain, and I'm in trouble, but I think that's fairly unlikely. I'm looking at their last MTG Goldfish list here, which has 2 Molten Rain in the sideboard, 18 lands, 3 of them being caves. Flame Rift, okay. Yeah, Flame Rift is a good card against my kind of deck. So I'm going to have to Ash Barrens here, just to get my 5th land onto the battlefield. And I need to Ash Barrens for an island, so that I'm holding the counterspell up. Alright, and the library has Teachings, Counterspell Edict. I'm going to take Teachings, because I can just Teachings for Hydroblast, and then eventually flash it back later. I guess that's less efficient than Counterspell plus Alchemy. But if my opponent plays a card using all their mana, then trading it is pretty card efficient. And if they don't play a card for all their mana, then I can just Teachings for Hydroblast, which is more mana efficient on my part. Here's the Molten Rain, and that's getting counterspelled, and I think this game is over. Well, I guess I don't have a clock yet, so maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. But it's going to be hard for me to lose this game. I have to be aware of Pyroblast if my opponent plays another land, or like if they play a creature here. So, just a 2-mana creature, and then I'm going to let this resolve. I think that's fine. The worst thing that can happen to me is Bolt Bolt. Bolt Bolt Fire Blast, which is not lethal. I'm going to need to draw something good at some point. Alright, here comes Magma Jet. That's fine. Now I'm actually dead to Bolt Bolt Fire Blast, but I'm going to have Counterspell plus Hydroblast plus Devour Flash to gain 3 life. The point of the Augur is mainly just to make sure I can block creatures if my opponent has one, and it's a really slow clock. Not so effective at actually winning the game, so I don't mind sacrificing it. In fact, I will probably be inclined to sacrifice it. Maybe even I should just do it on my turn, so that it doesn't get Searing Blazed. So they went top, so that looks like they have action. I'm just going to take a Hydroblast here. Okay, another Hydroblast, that's pretty good. It's going to be hard for my opponent to do things through double Hydroblast. I think I'm going to Devour Flash my Augur on my next turn, because I'm starting to become cramped on mana. And if they have 3 good cards in hand, plus the 2 good cards that were on top, then they can potentially kill me with 3 of those. Although, I guess they can only kill me if they have Bolt Bolt Fire Blast. So all I need to do is make sure I don't spend my second Hydroblast on a Fire Blast. They could have Bolt Bolt, then Fire Blast. No, as long as I have 2 counterspells up, I should be in pretty good shape. Hard to imagine something going super wrong. I think I have to take Angler here. Okay, so imagine my opponent has 5 cards in their hand. What's the worst they could have? for me. They could have Fire Blast, I counter, and then Bolt, 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 Land, Needle Drop, I counter. So that's not very scary. I don't think my opponent can win this turn through double counter, so I'm just going to play the Angler to try to make sure I've got a clock. I'm not going to counter bolts to the face here. Maybe one. I will probably counter one bolt, but I will not counter a second one, because I need to be able to counter Fire Blast. And the problem is that they have Pyroblast plus Fire Blast, and I could be in trouble. Then I could actually lose to countering things. So if they bolt my face here, I'm not countering it. Magma Jet is an interesting one because it's going to give my opponent basically extra draws. They scry lands to the bottom, but my opponent is kind of choked on mana, so I think I just let them do that. Again, Bolt, 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 Fire Blast doesn't kill me through 2 counterspells. So my opponent's going to have to have something really special, and they can't cast more mana worth of spells than Bolt, 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 Fire Blast. So something I've noticed versus Burn is a lot of how to win is to run them out of cards, and that means that, contrary to a lot of expectations, my win rate going second is, I think, higher compared to going first than most matchups in Pauper. I'm not sure that it's higher than my win rate going first, but I like going second against Burn, whereas a lot of aggro decks, when I go second with a control deck like this, I feel like I'm starting off in the back foot. Curse of the Pierced Heart. I think I just let that resolve. I can Hydroblast it at any time. I want my opponent to commit to spending their mana, which they did. I Hydroblast here, and I think the game's over. It's going to be real hard to lose this game now. With Magma Jet, they also went top again. So they could totally have Bolt, 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 Fire Blast. There's like Bolt in Exile, plus 1 card on top of the deck. So while they're tapped out, I'm just going to Devour Flesh myself. Saga wasn't doing anything. Let's just make sure I'm not going to die. So I can cast next turn all 3 of these spells. So I think I let the Rift Bolt in. There's a land. So apparently they scried that land to the top. That's very interesting. Now I have 2 counter spells for their 2 cards. And I'm going to have Forbidden Alchemy at the end of my turn to try to find a 3rd counter spell, which would just guarantee that my opponent can't do anything. 4 mana. What are they doing with 4 mana? Fire Blasting me. Do I Hydroblast? I think I Hydroblast because I want to be able to Alchemy. Okay, so the way they tapped all their mana like that makes me think they have another Fire Blast. But they can't cast 2 Fire Blasts. So let's just take Radiant Fountain. This looks fine. My opponent would have to have now something that deals 6 damage. So like Thunderous Wrath into Needle Drop into Fire Blast. That's going to be pretty tough. Yep. Alright. So, sideboarding. Was I happy with my sideboard? They probably sideboard out creatures. Like, I didn't see any Firebrands. In fact, they may not even have Firebrands in their deck, who knows? And that would make me want, like, bring Muldrifters in, take out a removal spell, but if they have a creature and I don't have a removal spell, I basically just lose in a lot of scenarios. So I think I'm going to stick with this. But I could see just side out needed for a Muldrifter. The important thing is to be trading with my opponent. And, I mean, my opponent might know that. What are they likely to side in against me, though? I guess they have Flame Rifts in their sideboard, maybe. Molten Rain. Yeah, I guess they could side out, like a lot of creatures. Alright, well, this is how you lose against Burn. My goal is to trade cards, and then by mulligan, it's really hard to trade. Nope. If I could guarantee my draws, this would be great. Alright, I'm keeping this. I actually like Duress here. Alright, let's start off with a Rift Bolt. I'm going to start off with Duress, and then I get to cast 2 Hydroblasts. So I can kind of plan out what I'm doing by looking at my opponent's hand here. So we've got a Curse, a Molten Rain, and a Marauders. So pretty sure I just need to take the Molten Rain, because that's the one that's going to screw me over the most if it resolves. The other two I can just Hydroblast and be fine. Like if they curse here, I take 1 damage, maybe 2. It'd probably take 2, because I want to Hydroblast their other thing first. Okay? Curse is a lot better game 1 than it is game 2. Island, that is a good draw. I'm going to cycle here, because it's possible that I draw another Duress next turn. I'm not going to Hydroblast the Curse, because I want to be able to counter this guy. I can just not take a ton of damage. I can not take the 2 damage from entering the battlefield and leaving the battlefield. And, oh, okay, I took 3 from a Spark Elemental. But I'm kind of ahead here. I'm at 12. Okay, and they have 1 card in their hand plus the Curse. So what I need to do is draw like Radiant Fountain, and then draw Muldrifter, and then it's going to be hard to lose. Let's Hydroblast that, get that out of the way. I'm not going to Preordain. I might Preordain on a turn when I'm missing a land drop, but I would rather just use my counterspell. Do I want to counterspell a Spark Elemental? Problem is, if they land a Firebrand here, I'm in trouble, but I probably shouldn't go very low, and I am now incentivized to Preordain next turn. So I really just want to counterspell anything. Spark Elemental is a sketchy card against Dimir control. Okay, there's a Backwater and an Aqueduct. I don't want lands, even though lands will gain me non-zero amount of life. I want to trade my opponent's cards. I don't want to draw any more lands, basically ever. I want to draw Muldrifter into Hydroblast. Not a good draw. I'm not going to lose yet, but ooh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, yes. Cast with kicker. You discard 2 cards. Hopefully my opponent has a bunch of 2-mana things that you can't cast. Okay, there's Shard Volley. And then they're gonna pirate. Oh, okay. What do I want to do here? I probably want to preordain this turn. Right? Okay, yes, I do want 2 counterspells. And just hope my opponent doesn't. Hopefully they don't play a Firebrand Archer here. Alright. I'm in good shape. I will counterspell the first thing they play, and then the second one I may be a little more patient. Yeah, that is definitely getting counterspelled, because that's going to be a lot of damage if it resolves. I would like to be able to cast an Angler here, so I'm going to do this. Alright, it worked. My opponent has 4 turns to kill me through counterspell. Alright, my opponent now has 2 turns to kill me through counterspell. Probably not going to counter anything that's not it's not a Fire Blast if I don't have to. I would like to draw a counter here. Obviously. Perfect. That's game. I think. Unless they have something weird, like a Thunderous Wrath or a play in which they Needle Drop plus land. I guess I'd also counterspell Needle Drop. Maybe. No, I'd counterspell Needle Drop. That sounds like a way to lose. Alright, opponent. What do you have? Lightning Bolt is fine. So they could go land, Fire Blast, but then they're out of cards. Do I win? Do I win? They could go Bolt, Needle Drop. I have to counter. Needle Drop, I have to... No, that doesn't work. Fire Blast, Bolt, Needle Drop, that also doesn't work. Okay, they could have Flame Rift. No. I just counter the Flame Rift. I counter the Fire Blast. Alright, looks like you got there. So, that was a little closer than I wanted it to be. Maybe I should have assumed that my opponent was in fact on burn and mulliganed in game 1. But I'm 2-0. Beat the Terrible 2, and I will see you in the next round.